Chafing Armor Podcast, Episode 57, May I Have This Dance? Welcome back to the Chafing Armor Podcast. I'm your host, and ready for leg day, host Michael Corley. And with me today is Izzy. Izzy, tell everyone who you will be playing.
I will be playing Morezi Mugra, a half-orc barbarian with big arms.
Big, beefy arms here at the King's Feast. And also with us is James. James, tell everybody who you will be playing.
Hello! I am James. I'm playing Penton Shellis, a spell scale sorcerer, and I'm really hoping to not die this episode.
That would be nice.
Yeah.
But, you know, we don't
You never
always get
know.
what we want.
That's true.
And finally, helping people not die on several occasions is Dare. Dare, tell everyone who you will be playing.
Hello, everyone. I am playing your favorite gnome cleric, Tix Birchmanson. And for me, every day is leg day.
That's right, and he kills it. Want to note that I totally knew that it's pronounced Rakshasa, and not Rakasha, as I was saying before, that James very kindly pointed out to me.
Tix didn't know.
Yeah, Tix didn't know any different. He's like, whatever. But no, there is, of course, a Rakshasa disguised as the king's advisor, here with a troll disguised as a noblewoman. There's also 5 Aarakocra emissaries from the Pinta Plains who have come to treat with the king. But before anything else can happen, the king says, "But first, we feast!" And every imaginable food is brought out. Izzy, what would Morezi want to eat first?
Meat. Great big haunches. And all the ale a woman could drink. Absolutely incredibly orcish meal.
So I'm going to actually say that for the moment, I will not even require a Constitution saving throw, because that is just par for the course for an orc of your standing.
I mean, she's not getting drunk, but, all the grog you could drink without getting drunk.
Exactly.
I'm just making it sound fun,
Yes. So if we want to imagine someone at the medieval fair and just casting an enlargement spell on those turkey legs, and then you've got 2 or 3 of them, that's what's happening at your table. And we also cut to Penton. Penton, you are sitting next to Skull.
Yes.
You see that she is very delicately and discreetly, she comes and gives a little sniff to the various fruits, and you actually notice that she puts about half of them down, and then the others she takes and very delicately begins to eat. Is there anything that you would like to be doing at this moment?
I imagine that eating must be a very different experience for you.
It is, or at least I am given to understand that it is. There are so many things in the world that are just disgusting. Especially, I find most meats to be abhorrent unless they are very freshly killed. I can smell their decay and rot. And so only the freshest foods I find palatable.
Yeah. Well, I found that I really don't need to do that anymore.
She kind of raises her eyebrow. You mean eat?
Yeah. It's all this, all this like energy that I've been experiencing from my, connections with the greater powers have just pretty much, I think I just feed on that now.
Well, perhaps we could discuss this further sometime. I've never encountered someone who simply no longer finds eating necessary. That is intriguing.
I'd be happy to discuss anything with you.
She smiles and puts down another fruit with a ugh, and looks for another one. And we actually cut to you, Tix. I think you had told me that you were planning on kind of keeping an eye on the Rakshasa.
I am going to find myself some nice savory meats and some good stir fry and maybe a little fruit. move myself closer to this erstwhile demon in disguise and introduce myself and begin to get to know him, it, they.
Okay. He raises an eyebrow at you, and at first he basically tries to politely decline you. Just, oh, yes, very nice to meet you. I must attend to these other guests here, even though he's just sitting there. You notice that he does not leave the side of the troll.
It's a pleasure to meet you. I am Tix Birchmanson of some renown, and I am here at the behest of the king after dealing with that little incident at the docks, and I would love to get to know this fair city, and as the king's retinue, that would include you.
Yes, it would. I heard an interesting rumor. I heard that the trouble at the docks was from a hideously mutated creature who came crashing in on the ship. Is that so?
It seemed to be some amalgamation by a sorcerer or warlock or some extraplanar creature that wanted to cause trouble for this fair city.
How fascinating.
Isn't it,
And you
though?
see him kind of, he's running his fingers down the table, and you're not sure, but you almost feel like you hear a claw slowly scraping against the wood, though you don't actually see anything digging into the wood. And he says, but I heard that you had actually encountered this individual before. Is that so?
Before it was what it became, when it was still a human, yes, we had encountered it, and it had died at sea. So something out there, and I emphasize the out there, seems to have changed it and interfered with the natural order of life, which I,
Okay.
on the behalf of Garl Glittergold, take as a personal affront all things living.
You see him freeze slightly, and he narrows his eyes slightly. And he says, don't toy with me, boy. I have the eyes of the king. Do you understand?
Oh, yes, I understand. You are an advisor and loyal retinue of the king, that you would do anything to protect this city, just as I would, and my companions, who have killed hags and fought krakens and various other creatures that have fallen at our touch and blade. So I am sure we share the same interests, don't you think? Especially this food. It was just absolutely delicious.
At that moment, you actually feel for lack of a better term, an evil aura coming off him and radiating towards you. And you actually feel the natural good aura of your god, like pushing back against it. And actually some small little sparks actually spark a little bit in the room, though you doubt anyone would actually notice it. But before anything else can happen, the king claps his hands. And he says, now it is time for entertainment. And with that, everyone's tables are all pushed to the sides of the great banquet hall, except for the king's. It's already at the edge. And in come a troupe of minstrels. And y'all actually recognize one of them, Fugly, was one that y'all had run into before, and you had actually heard him beginning to play a song about your chicken hut once when you were going by, and he sees y'all, and he kind of gives you a little wave, and they actually begin to play, and I need everyone to make a saving throw.
Oof.
And that is a will saving throw.
Okay.
Tix rolled a 12.
12?
Just a 12.
Let's see.
Oh, will saving throw.
I got a nat 20. I'm the most willful person in the world.
That's a
Wasted my
modified
natural
12.
20 on a will saving throw.
And Penton got a 15.
A 15, that's actually what you needed to save.
Oh.
So, Tix, as the great minstrel once said, the rhythm is going to get you. You actually feel compelled to dance. And you are not alone, by the way. Most of the people in the hall get up and start to dance, including 2 of the Rakasha. I'm sorry, 2 of the Aarakocra actually get up and start to dance. So what kind of a dance would you imagine Tix would do?
Tix's people are known for their jigs. Very much similar to an Irish jig, and his little feet stamping about in his boots while his arms remain at his side, and he just gives himself to the music and has fun dancing away and giving small prayers of joy and thankfulness to Garo Glittergold.
So instead of this being an embarrassing moment, and by the way, Morezi, just, you feel that and you're just like, nope,
Dance.
And you drag up this incredible willpower to like, I will not dance. And Penton is just kind of like, no, I'm good. By the way, of course, you can dance if you wish. Skull
Right.
also is able to resist, and so she
Okay,
remains
I'll
seated.
stay with her.
Gotcha. And
Rezi's tapping her foot underneath the table, but so quietly and slowly enough that nobody can tell she likes it.
that is her only conceit to the music, which is very good, and we will say that it is a Irish-like jig. Actually, at this point, Urtok, the Rakshasa in disguise, stands up and he gestures to the troll in disguise. And she actually climbs over the table, and you actually hear the table kind of crack as she climbs over the table. Everyone kind of gives an eye, because obviously this is something a noblewoman would never do. And she heads into the middle of the dance floor, and the king calls out, and he says, "My fellow guests and my wonderful emissaries of the Akokra, let us show you what power we have here. Control not only of our lands, but even of the denizens of the deep. Let her dance!" And with that, Urtok makes a gesture with his hand, and she becomes a troll, or she reveals herself to be a troll. And she begins to dance, and it is bonkers. It is.
I need to know.
Yes.
Is she a pretty troll?
Well, no,
Nope.
because trolls are horrifyingly ugly. She has coarse black hair that is sticking out in all directions on her head. Her eyes are nearly completely black. She has a long hooked nose that is warty, and she is also wearing the tiniest chainmail bikini that you have ever seen. That bikini would be for perhaps a large woman, perhaps slightly smaller than you, Morezi. And so it is just like taped onto her. You don't actually know how it doesn't snap. Maybe it's made of mithril. But she is just dancing, and makeup is just smeared on her face. And she is doing the craziest dance you have ever seen. And the ground is shaking as she dances and dances and dances. And then at some point she leaps into the air and comes down with a croon. And then she bows, and everyone just bursts into applause. And Urtok comes forward, and he makes a gesture, and she becomes a noblewoman in seeming again, and he leads her back, actually to the side of the room now. And where she is eagerly beginning to eat. And the king turns back to the Aarakocra, and he says, "As you can see, we have many delights available in our kingdom, and we fear no creature. Anything is conquerable in the kingdom of Hyboria. Now, Aarakocra, my wonderful guest, tell us, what is it that you desire?" And the one named Gale, is a female Aarakocra, comes forward, and it says, "My good king, we come to treat with you and ask for assistance. The lizard men of the Pinta Plains are attacking our people. They are raiding our nests. They are crushing our eggs." And the other Aarakocra make little ash, 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 ash sounds at that. "And we ask for assistance from your people. In return, we offer you allegiance and peace with the Aarakocra. We have many skills that we can bring for you. Observe, our people are from the plane of air, and when 5 of us are brought together, many things are possible." And she turns back to the others and opens her wings, and they all whoom their wings in a rhythmic fashion. Whoom, whoom, whoom. And then a swirling vortex appears in the middle, and out of the vortex comes a wind elemental. As you can imagine, everything in the room is being blown. It's not like a full-scale hurricane, but there is a constant wind now blowing against everything. And you see like a scribe, trying really hard to keep his papers from blowing away as they are doing this. And she turns back to the king, and she says, "These are the kind of resources and help and aid we will give to your kingdom if you will aid us against the lizard men." And with that, the air elemental turns towards you, Tix, and it attacks. And I need everyone to roll for initiative.
Whoa.
Huh. Well, that's a much better roll.
What did you get, Tix?
I got a 21.
Wow, very nice. And Pinton?
I can beat that with a 22.
Oh.
22 for Pinton.
I got a 15.
Air Elemental actually got an 18, so that will Merezi with a 15. So Pinton, you will actually go first. You actually see this happen. You have seen many elementals in your day, mostly from a distance.
Right.
Sometimes you can see them actually wandering empty places of the world. Most elementals want very little to do with humans unless they are in their way.
Yeah, or being controlled.
Exactly, or being controlled. And in fact, you understood that the Zorn, while not an Earth elemental, was Earth elemental cousin, shall we say?
Right.
That you saw, and you even correctly identified that it would normally want nothing to do with you unless you happen to have some, precious gems on you. But this elemental turns and just attacks Tix. You just see it just go, and it's its form. Think about like in Ghostbusters when the ghosts go nuclear, and it just swells up. Its eyes blaze a blinding yellow, and it just begins moving towards Tix in a maelstrom. And all of the Aarakocra are totally caught off guard, and they are all flung backwards. Some of them just cracking against the wall painfully.
Okay.
And everyone is, you unless this is the best acting job ever, you can tell this was not part of their plan.
Right. It seems like they've kind of lost control of it or something happened.
Yes.
Okay. Well, that's interesting. Let's see. What do we have that we can deal with an air elemental with? Let's see. Let's go with the safe routes, and I'm going to start by casting Protection from Evil on Tix, because he's about to be attacked, which will hopefully, as the spell goes, keep him from being come into physical contact with an extraplanar creature. So,
and you cast that spell.
Yes.
Tix, you feel the energy that you recognize from the spell you have cast yourself surround you, and you certainly realize what Penton is about, trying to help you, because you see this coming right towards you. By the way, this thing is huge. Its head is nearly to the 20-foot tall ceiling, and its form is constantly undulating. It is essentially a swirling tornado in a vague humanoid form. And Tix, it is your turn.
Okay, and so Tix is going to cast Sanctuary to avoid an incident, realizing that there are politics in play, and so cannot attack or beat.
Okay, you cast that, and you see it bearing down upon you, and that will actually bring it to the air elemental. And in the future, well, actually, in this case, yeah, he rolls a 7. I'm going to kind of take different views on whether or not the creature realizes they can attack you or not. But very often on the first attack, they do not. He actually has 2 attacks that he basically brings up his great wind fists and just slams them down on you. Whoom! Whoom! And of course, they have absolutely no effect. Near you, just all of the people that were near you on the table are just pushed backwards. But fortunately, the attack was not directed towards them. None of them appear to be immediately harmed. By the way, there is a just swarm of Royal Guard heading towards the king. I'm sure that does not come as a surprise to you. And that will actually bring us to Merezi. Merezi, you have half a haunch of meat in your mouth, half an ale in one hand, and this all goes down. What are you going to do?
Okay, so Merezi didn't realize there was actually a wind elemental in the room for a while because, like, she was still thinking about that troll dance thing. But now that she's figured out that there's an issue, she's gonna... Okay, I don't think that Isabel Marie Corley, know this is a bad idea. But I feel like right now, Merezi is gonna try to use her weapon, her axe, her
halberd?
Yes, her halberd, which is a corporeal piece of metal to attack this wind.
Yes, and I appreciate good role-playing. I always, as the Dungeon Master, even if you do not succeed, there are ways that I will reward you for good role-playing, even if it is not substantive. But go ahead and roll for attack. 12. Unfortunately, that is just a miss. Part of it is simply the fact that you are leaping over the table and heading towards this wind thing, and it is literally blowing you back, and it took you by surprise. It's like if you're trying to walk outside and suddenly hit by a gust of wind, and you were trying to do something at the same time, it kind of threw you off. And that will actually bring it to Osokai. Osokai is going to shift and become more beast-like, and he leaps forward and attacks. And he rolls a 1.
Ooh.
I'm just gonna roll some dice real quick here. No big deal.
Oh man! First, Osokai dies.
Sorry,
on
we killed your
a
character while you were
individual
gone.
One. And now Osokai is gonna die without even playing his character.
I probably wouldn't kill him if I was, puppeting his character on a 100, but something really bad would happen to him if he rolled 100. But it was just a 15. So that brings us back to Penton. Penton, just so you know, the Aarakocra are picking themselves back up. They're still just stunned, both literally and figuratively. You see that Kuris Vigilfist and his gang are kind of assembling themselves at the end of the hall, but right now they are primarily protecting the king. They are forming a barrier between the king and themselves. So what would you like to do?
Okay, I'm going to take a very quick scan around the room and see if there's any other wizardly type people around that are, obviously of a wizard bent.
Well, there's one that you know of for sure, which is Shellenshuk. One of Kuris Vigilfist's retinue is just a straight-up wizard. There are some others who might be, but you don't actually know for certain.
Okay, and of course, then there's the vizier.
Yes,
the advisor.
Yes. Raksasha is definitely magical in many different ways. Currently, he is just standing in the corner with his eyes. Just one eyebrow is actually just kind of raised, like, but he is not acting in any way.
Okay, but doesn't seem to be, like, controlling the thing. He's just kind of, like, observing.
Make an Arcana check.
Okay.
With an 18, as far as you can tell, unless he is using magic that you do not know about, which given that he is, from another plane of existence is possible, he does not appear to be controlling this creature.
Okay. So what I'm going to do is then I'm going to first glance over to Skull and make sure she's stable and not being flung about.
She is steadying herself, though this does seem to be disorienting to her with
I'm
all
sure.
the debris flying through the air and everything. But she does seem essentially okay because she's staying behind the table.
Okay.
And it's you can tell the closer you get to this thing, the more crazy its wind is.
Right. All right. So I'm going to tell her, wait here. I'll be right back, and run over to the advisor. And I'm going to, first I'm going to say to him, if there's some way you can banish this thing, I'd recommend it before it hurts the king. And I'm going to use some diplomacy on him.
Okay.
That'd be a 31. So in a chart sense, what does that do? That will send somebody who is unfriendly into the friendly category, somebody who's openly hostile into the indifferent category. So I'm not sure where he falls in that category. Indifferent would turn him into helpful.
He turns to you, and there's just a look of just disdain and hate and vileness in his eyes when he looks at you. And you realize, like, oh, this is, depending on your point of view, a demon. This is a horrifying creature from another plane of existence. And he would just as soon slit your throat and watch you die as shake your hand.
Right.
But he says, I always protect the king. And he casts a spell. And the wind elemental rolls a 6. And so he didn't roll that well. But the wind elemental actually takes 10 points of damage as a bolt of energy. It is not a magic missile, which you know very, very well. Some
Right.
other kind of bolt of energy flies forward and just kind of smacks the elemental right in the face. And it actually turns and looks at him, and he kind of goes, just great. That's just great.
I guess I'm in this.
Brings it to you, Tix. You have your sanctuary up. What would you like to do?
I am going to interpose myself, cast Dispel Evil.
Okay. And would you tell everyone what that does with Dispel?
+4 bonus against attacks. So,
It does. The one that I'm reading does say that there is a successful melee touch attack on a creature from another plane. Are you seeing that as well?
that's not what I
No,
was
but I'm
thinking.
pretty sure there's a successful melee touch attack.
Oh, no, I'm pretty sure it's melee, right?
Melee, that's up in the air.
No. She
That's-
is correct.
+4 deflection AC.
Rikshushu.
I guess we'll change what I was gonna.
Hi, I'm Rick Shushu.
All right. I guess
It's an
it's-
evil creature from another creature from another plane. Problem is, I'm not entirely sure that an air elemental is evil. They're generally
That is
neutral.
very true. So you have a choice, because if you choose to attack with this Dispel Evil, your sanctuary will vanish.
Yeah, that's not what I
but
was
if
thinking.
Do
you
like a
and if
check?
I was thinking it was like Dispel Magic.
Gotcha.
I think what you're really looking for is not banishment. There's something lesser than
Yeah.
that you can banish elemental and extraplanar creatures with. I forget what it's called, but I doubt you have it yet.
No, I do not. I will go ahead with my first plan and interpose myself between the elemental and the king.
Okay.
So that I am a barrier of sorts.
Okay. So you're actually standing in front of Chorus et al., unless you want to try to sneak behind them, and you're holding your hands out in a begone fashion. Is there any other action that you'd like to take?
Not at this time.
Okay.
I
That actually brings it to the air elemental. The person who attacked it was the Rakasha. So he attacks the Rakasha.
The what?
I'm sorry. So he attacks the Rakshasha.
we're gonna have
Third
fun
base.
with that all
He
night long.
he attacks the tiger boy.
Rakshasa.
Um,
Rakshasa.
Rakshasha. Rakshasa.
It's like when you. It's like the
Rakshasa.
after Moana came out.
Oh,
Remember
good Lord.
that?
Yes, Izzy is very kind to remind me that I was completely incapable of pronouncing either of their names correctly. So he actually is going to attack twice. Wow, he actually fails both times. No, I'm sorry. He actually succeeds one time. He actually has a slam attack. So he is just taking both fists and just going wham, wham. And the first one, Urtok, is actually able to dodge out of the way. But the second one, he is actually caught. And he takes 2d8 damage.
Oofa.
Yeah, from this slam attack. And that's from one of them. Ooh, 8. That's not good. Ooh, 8. That's not good. He actually takes 21 points of damage. So he is just, bam, just slammed hard in the face. And you see blood running down his face. His form does not change, by the way. But there is just the utmost look of hatred. And he actually turns to you, Penton. And there's just this look of like, this is your fault. He doesn't say it, but you see the look on his face. And Merezi, that is actually your turn.
There's probably a more intelligent thing to do than attack this thing, but neither me nor Merezi can think of it.
Okay.
I'm rolling to attack now. That's a 19
will hit. So you correctly guessed as the player that maybe taking a bladed object and swinging it at a giant pile of wind is not the best possible thing. However, as you swing, that iron band on your arm that you collected on the first set of adventures just slightly squeezes on your bicep.
Oh, it's like a blood pressure test.
That's exactly what it feels like. You feel a connection as if this creature was made of flesh. And I want you to roll for full damage.
Heck yak.
Interesting. I'm curious.
11 damage.
11 damage. So it has now taken 21 points of damage. Most of that being Merezi. And Tix and Penton, you both notice this. You both know what an air elemental is. And you know that attacking it with a regular weapon is maybe not the best idea, but like you see like part of it just cut out and like a little puff of wind just, and it actually recoils and it is surprised by the damage and it turns back to you, Merezi, and there's like a
I'm boned. I'm super duper boned.
And Osokai rolls a 9, which is not going to do it, even with his bonus. That will actually bring it to Urtok, because I added him at the end of the session. And he is actually going to cast another spell. And
hopefully it's not at me.
No. There's I'm going to say there's actually a moment where he, like he's like look like like I wanna do it on you, but then he turns and lights up the air elemental. It's actually a kind of lightning that strikes through and connects, and it actually does 13 points of damage to the air elemental. And he just seems so done with this, just like I cannot believe this. Out of nowhere, a sword, a glowing ethereal sword appears above the air elemental and just boom comes flying down. And let us see the outcome. That is a hit, and slices into its floating shoulder. Doesn't roll very well, but it does 4 points of damage for a total of 38. And you all see out of the corner of one of the entrance room a halfling paladin. Of all things. And unfortunately, with Osokai not being here, he is the only one who's actually seen this person before, but he was at the inn. Actually, Merezi, you might have just have the barest memory. Remember when you walked in the inn and they wouldn't let you in because of your lizard?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. You're just like, was he in the inn? Because a halfling wearing full plate armor is kind of an unusual thing. But he just comes running in, and you see him gesturing out with his hand, almost as if he's casting a, I don't know, magical weapon. and bringing it down on the air elemental. And that will bring it back to you, Benson.
All right. Since we seem to be going in the magic route, I'm going to play, and I'm going to cast one of my new spells, which is Scorching Ray.
Ooh, and tell everyone what Scorching Ray is.
Well, Scorching Ray is basically what it sounds like, a big, nasty, basically stream of hot lava that flies out and hits a creature. As I do that, my little mark in my head from the dragon glows a little bit, and I'm going to infuse this with the power of Brahm, yes, and I'm also going to give it my my dragon boost as well. So let's see how this goes, and that is a 20 to hit.
Okay. Well, that definitely hits.
Yeah.
Does the creature get a saving throw with Scorching Ray?
No, it's a straight up attack.
Okay. Well, you do have to roll to attack, so that makes perfect sense.
Right. All right.
And
So
no saving throw, none. And so a fiery rays comes right out of your hands,
right.
And
so unless it has any kind of fire resistance, that would be in fact. But
which in fact it does not. It does actually have quite a bit of damage resistance. But one of those is not fire, and
right.
you actually see there's a moment where the fire actually swirls into its body. It's actually like it's collected up into it, and it hurts it. So tell me how much damage that does.
I'm rolling it up right now. That would be 23 points of damage total.
Wow. 23 points of damage. So that is a total of 61 points of damage that y'all have done to him. And Tix, it is your turn.
Okay, seeing as how he is not making a move towards the king, I will go ahead and enter the fray and see if I can do...
Oh wait, I rolled a 20. Does that do double damage with magic?
It sure does.
So make that twice.
Twice, so that was a 23, right?
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's 46 points of damage.
Hot diddly damn.
That's a
That
lot
basically
of damage.
just ran a laser across its midsection.
Yeah. So you just whoa, and for a second, its bottom and upper and lower half separate, and it screams. And you all notice, like, it is now having trouble keeping cohesion. Like, it is just kind of undulating, and it's not looking so hot, for lack of a better term, after that hit. And you actually see the Urtok turns to you and kind of like a kind of look, and now we will go to Tix.
Okay.
I'll give him a little raised eyebrow.
Yep.
So I'm going to do rush up to it and see if I can place hands on it and do inflict moderate wound.
Okay. I want you to roll to attack.
That is a lovely 26.
That hits. Now, it is a creature made of air, and I believe that does necrotic energy.
Yes, it does.
But it does not have a resistance to necrotic. So tell me what it looks like when you dispel a wind elemental with a touch.
As I rush up and shed the sanctuary spell and protection of Garl Glitter Gold, I continue to pray and place my hands inside the winds, and a sickly green-brown glow infects the winds, almost like a insipid fog that coils up through the air, and it just slowly dissipates in a look of pain and suffering.
And it just... Those yellow eyes just... And then it is just gone. And suddenly y'all realize like how loud the roaring wind was in this enclosed space, and it is just silent, and like papers and small objects are clattering to the ground. And of all people, suddenly you hear in the corner the troll, now disguised again as a human female, say, "That was awesome!" And just starts clapping, and it's just like, whoa! And everyone else joins in the applause. You hear a chorus say, "Now get the king to safety!" And the king says, "Wait, I think the danger has passed." And Gale and the other 4 Aarakocra come forward, and she first, they wait for her, that she kneels before the king. And she says, "My lord, I beg your forgiveness. This has never happened before. I do not know what has caused this energy to spiral out of control. We are creatures of air. We are from the plane of air, and the creatures there are friendly toward us, and we do not know what has happened. We can but humbly beg your forgiveness." And he says, "I think it is time for a private audience. Urtok, if you would, come with me. Gale, your people as well." And he turns to you, Penton, because you're standing next to Urtok. And he says, "And all of you, would you please come with me?"
Of course, my liege.
Chorus is like, "My lord, do you require a retinue of it?" And he's like, no, it's quite all right. I think that we will be perfectly safe." And he turns to the crowd and very grandly gestures, and he says, "Please, everyone, enjoy the rest of your evening. I hope you have enjoyed this most unexpected entertainment. Dessert and liqueurs will soon be brought out." And the tables are actually being reshuffled back out into the eating arrangement, and the desserts and everything are being brought out. And the king himself actually turns and begins leading you back further into the stronghold.
Right.
I presume everyone follows?
I'm going to trot over and grab Skull, make sure she's okay, and bring her with me.
Okay. No one stops you. No one is going to say no to the king, and you know, she does not seem threatening, so she comes with you, and she says, I didn't quite catch all of that, but I'm assuming that was some cool thing you did to the creature?"
Oh, we all took a turn. Oh, we'll play it out later.
Incredibly cool.
She turns to you and she smiles and she says, "I am still indebted to you, young half-orc, and I appreciate all of your help. And I did see that mighty swing that you took against the creature. Though I could not see the creature itself, I could tell that you made contact." And you all make your way back, and there is a very large receiving room. It is very luxurious. Think there are tapestries and all kinds of things, and reclining chairs, and there is like an official table, but the king doesn't go to that. He goes to one of like the reclining sofas, and even as he is coming in, servants are actually bringing in exactly what they said to the inside. They are bringing various desserts inside, including very unusual actual like iced cream. It's actual frozen desserts, which are incredibly rare, and also various after dinner drinks and coffee actually.
Wow. Iced cream.
Yes, Merezi, you have never seen anything like this. And the king laughs when you say that. And he goes, yes, you should try some. Please, try. This one is my favorite. And he actually hands a small cup with a small, like, little tiny, delicate spoon.
A pink spoon?
I forego the spoon and use my tongue.
And just, just like a dog going, blop. And the king thinks this is hilarious. By the way, now that you all get closer to the king, you had noticed earlier that there was something different about his eyes. He actually has cat's eyes. And while he does appear to be human in all other ways, he has green cat's eyes. And he is just amused. And Merezi, I need you to make a Constitution saving throw.
Oh, God. Shouldn't have had the cream.
Oh,
I'm sorry, fortitude. I always say that wrong.
is this where we find out if...
Thank God. Oh, thank God, because my fortitude modifier is 6 higher than... Okay, that's a 14. Still probably not very good.
14? Yeah, unfortunately, you needed a 15. You experience a pain that you have never known before.
Oh, okay, thank God. I thought he was poisoning me.
Nope, you just got brain freeze. You just ate ice cream for the first time, and you're just like... What is happening to me? As you get brain freeze, and so I don't know if Merezi reacts to that in any particular way.
Brain freeze, barbarian rage.
Yeah. That's right. That is the one thing that triggers your barbarian rage you've been holding in all this time. He laughs and he turns to all of you and he says, "So please have a seat, sit down, and let us see if all of you can help me save Hyboria." And that's where we'll end Chafing Armor number 57. Thank you all for coming to dinner with me.
Thank you for the
Absolutely.
ice cream.
Yes, ice cream for everyone. And it is all poison, so go ahead and save. No, I'm just kidding. And I want to give a special ice cream delicious shout out to Hamed Mohammed, Miss Renee Artois, which I'm probably mispronouncing, and of course, once again, to Wonderful Duke. These are all people who have been commenting on our YouTube channel. So let's all say thanks to those folks.
Thank you, guys.
everyone.
You guys are awesome, and thanks for listening.
Yes, we appreciate our listeners. If you all want to listen to us on YouTube, we're on there. You just search Chafing Armor will come right up. Or you can go to iTunes or your pod catcher of choice. If you don't mind, go to iTunes and give us a 5-star review. It will make my heart glad, and I will give you a magic item.
And you
But
won't
with
get
that,
brain
good night.
freeze.
And it will make you immune to brain freeze for the rest of your life. So good night, everybody.
Good
night.
Good night.
And we will roll with you soon.